This is Stocks with Josh. I'm filling in for Larry today, and we're going to talk about Bitcoin. And I'm going to go over an important technical point right now that's in the news, as well as the charts, and tell you how I am going to make decisions on buying, selling, or what I'm going to be doing with my Bitcoin and my altcoins. Now, you guys have heard me talk about the fact that when Bitcoin reached its recent high, right, that we had a couple months back now, right after November, that I went ahead and sold everything. Now, it was a huge risky decision, everything but Bitcoin. Let me clarify that. I'm referring to the alts. That was a huge controversial decision, and it turned out to pay up. It turned out to pay up for me. But having said that, I don't want you guys to think that I am bearish on Bitcoin or the alts right now. And as each day goes by, and I'm going to take you into the charts and show you why, I'm getting increasingly bullish, right? And why am I able to feel more bullish right now on Bitcoin? Largely because I was able to take profits at a critical moment in the crypto cycle. And so as things have come down, I've been more willing to take risk. Your decisions of what you buy and sell absolutely play into your psychology at every given moment. Right now, people are feeling the pain because they're watching their precious capital get lower and lower and decrease. But personally, we've got to follow the charts, because if you follow looking at your watch list and looking at your portfolio, it's just going to become an emotional roller coaster, and you're going to make a bad decision. So we're going to go to the charts, and we're going to look at what do they say right now about Bitcoin, and where are we at in this cycle? Is the top behind us, or is there definitely room higher from here? Well, let me just answer that right off the bat. For one, the Bitcoin does move in cycles, right? It absolutely does. And we did officially, based on previously defined triggers in the Bitcoin chart, we moved into what was referred to as the parabolic phase. Now, it's the absolute strongest phase of Bitcoin's move up. And we do normally see some volatility in that phase, more volatility than we've seen so far. However, what we don't normally get is any red monthly candles. And so because of these changes to the pattern, it does cause people to be nervous. But I'm going to show you guys that we're actually 100% on track in Bitcoin, as well as the fact that there's a lot of other people, a lot of smart analysts, and a lot of investors that have a name tied to them. And what is this name? Well, I'm not talking about Michael Saylor or Cathie Woods. I'm talking about whales. Whales are joining the party. And so what is a whale? And what does that term mean when we're talking about Bitcoin? Well, it used to mean anybody that owned a minimum of 1,000 Bitcoin. But as the price of Bitcoin has climbed higher and higher, some people have begun to say that you are a whale if you own 100 Bitcoin. So the current prevailing idea of who is a whale is anybody that's got the dough to buy 100 Bitcoin. Now, there are classifications of whales. We got the old school whales. Those are Michael Saylor, right? He is an old school whale, but he's also a new whale because he is both buying in high dollar amounts back in the day, and he's buying in high dollar amounts right now. And in recent days, as Bitcoin's been consolidating above its previous market cycle high, right around this 100,000K level, there's been a lot of new whales joining the party. And new whales, you give attention to this group because these guys have a lot of money. So they didn't come across it accidentally. If you have $100 million, you probably didn't get it on accident. You probably did it because you made some smart investment decisions. And so right now we see all these individuals who are joining the investment journey of Bitcoin and getting on with big dollar amounts right now. And so they're not selling off. And now if you take that into consideration of where we're at in the chart, it begins to tell you, you know what, there's a lot more to this Bitcoin bull cycle ahead of us potentially. And then obviously we've got the Trump factor, has been talked about a ton. The fact is this guy's been buying. So Donald Trump is an active crypto whale, at least his family is, as they've been loading up on crypto right now, getting ready for a higher high coming. They don't think that the bull run is over. And I got to tell you that Donald Trump didn't do that research himself. He's got a lot of people surrounding him saying this thing has legs. So let me go give you the trigger prices for what we can know for certain that if Bitcoin crosses to the upside or to the downside of the two trigger prices I'm going to give you, where the price will go next. And I think the charts tell us that. So let's go take a peek at them. Right now, this is a monthly chart, which means each candle is an entire month. Now, I've talked about the fact that as Bitcoin's been consolidating recently, the monthly candles are not pretty. Okay, so the immediate price action in these monthly candles does reflect some risk to the downside. But I want to tell you that largely we've been consolidating between two specific price points, 110 and 90. So here's what I want you to take away from this is that if we get a monthly candle to close above 110 right now, that would be as significant as it was when we got this candle, this November candle, to close above the previous top of consolidation, which was this $68,800 level. So when we got this candle to close above this level and to break above it, it signaled that we are going higher. Now, I want to take you back, and I'm going to show you these fib levels real quick, and then I'm going to come back and tell you sort of the bear watch case, right? But we're looking at the historic index of Bitcoin, and I've showed this many times, and I think it's at times like this that it can be pretty encouraging. Now, right now, it looks like a bunch of confusing lines, but let's just go through it really quickly. Back in 2013, there was a monumental 60,000% move on Bitcoin. And at that time, the all-time high for Bitcoin, as marked by this red fib line, was $30, okay? And eventually, in the course of that time frame, 2013, after the halving, as marked by this white dotted line, we saw the price got back above $30. And at that point, it began to rocket up. Now, this rocketing up area is what's referred to as the parabolic phase of Bitcoin for 2013. Why is it the parabolic phase? Well, because price got higher than the previous high, okay? And in that time frame, it went from $30 to $1,281. Huge move. Let's just carry that forward. So in the next cycle, we actually had an all-time high of 1,281. And eventually, the price got back to this red line, this red fib level, and it broke above it. And then that meant that price now entered into the parabolic phase of 2017. And in that time frame, it moved from $1,281 up to $20K. So just imagine you bought this at $1,200, and just within about 8 to 9 months, it was worth $20,000. What a ride. Okay, let's keep carrying this idea forward so we can kind of get an idea of where we're at right now. So the next cycle was 2021, and the 2017 cycle ended with the price hitting $20,000. We then fell all the way back to this low level of $3,000, but we came back and eventually broke above 20,000, and we entered into the parabolic phase. Now, here's something I want you to notice. This parabolic phase didn't go up 2 fib levels, okay? Previous ones went up 2 fib levels. This last one in 2021 only went up 1 fib level, so it did slow down quite a bit. There was a lot of mitigating factors. Macro environment, 2022 rolled into town, and the overall economy pulled back pretty hard. And so we only did 1 fib level up, but the bottom line is it moved from 20K all the way up to right around 60K, a huge move, and we were in the parabolic phase. Now, here's what's happened recently, and this is the chart that is the most important because this is where we're at right now. We know that when we got into the month of November, okay, we eventually, as marked by the red bar here, we eventually crossed above the previous market high of around 60K, okay? And at that point, Bitcoin entered, everything above the red line on the fib is the parabolic phase. And we had this monumental move higher so far. So far, we went from 68,000 or 60,000 all the way up to 110,000, which is just massive. I mean, this thing has pumped $50,000, okay? But the bottom line is, this is the good news. We are not at the top of the blue fib level, and we are consolidating in the parabolic phase. And so nobody would tell you that this is over. They would tell you that we are dead center to the parabolic phase of Bitcoin right now. Now, we are doing more consolidating than we've seen in the past, but the good news is we're doing it with less volatility. Believe it or not, we're experiencing way less volatility. So a calm, stable Bitcoin price in the parabolic phase largely points to a move up to the top of the fib level. And what's that? Well, that's marked at around 174,000. But if you go back and you look at how Bitcoin has performed, every time it's hit a fib level, it doesn't stop there. It typically gets rejected there at some point. This thing moved from 59,000 to 69,000, which means that if we got up to this 173, very likely the market top would peter out somewhere around 183,000. So, as I promised you, let me give you some important lines. Right now, we're consolidating 110 to 90. And personally, I don't believe that we should close a monthly candle beneath 90 at this point. We can wick to 90, but we shouldn't close a monthly candle on top of that $90,000 level. If we do, then it means that we are likely going to come back to this lower level, and it could mean that the bull run is over, right? But similarly, if we close a monthly candle on top of 110 and we open a monthly candle above 110, 110,000, then that is going to be one of the most exciting and bullish moments for Bitcoin right now, because there's a lot of analysts just like me that are going to see this thing running up to 183. Now, some top analysts right now are calling for Bitcoin to be at 150,000 by May. And let me just tell you that if we get to 150,000 by May, then the alts are absolutely going to wake up. And when Bitcoin moves up like this, 30%, maybe even another 60%, you're going to see alts go into 100, 200, and 300%, especially because a lot of them have been shook pretty hard, right? I would just tell you this in conclusion of reviewing Bitcoin today. You have the important trend lines, 90,000, 110,000. The next close of a monthly candle above or beneath those lines is going to tell us everything we need to know about the rest of this year. And so I'm watching for a monthly candle to close above 110. And then personally, I believe it's off to the races. Strong confirmation that we're going to see at least a $180,000 Bitcoin this year in 2025. Now, I'm not going to take you back into the chart, but I'm just going to tell you this technical point. Whenever the price of Bitcoin has fallen below the previous market top, in this case, that would be at around 68,000, that's signaled that the top for Bitcoin is in and the winter is in full steam. So keep that in mind. I don't think we should go below 90K, but for a fact, if we got below 68,000, then it means we've been in the winter for the last couple months. Now, I don't see that, but I wanted to give it to you guys as a general rule of thumb that there's going to be people that are going to be getting bullish and telling you to buy the dip. But if it dips too far, if it dips below 68,000, and I'm not predicting that, then it means that we've been in the winter for months. Right now, keep your eye on that 90,000 to 110,000 level. And if you ask me, Josh, are you feeling bullish? The answer is yes. I'm feeling bullish. I'm wanting to make wise decisions. I use a stop loss because I've learned that to be a consistently profitable trader, I have to have ways of controlling my risk. All right. And so I encourage you as a crypto investor to use a stop loss. You've got to have a plan for how much you're willing to accept as a loss. And anybody who's been in Wall Street for more than a decade or two will tell you that the way to win on Wall Street is to hold your winners longer and to cut your losers sooner. You're always going to be happier when you do that. Let me know in the comments section whether you're bullish right now or whether you're bearish, what you think is going to happen for Bitcoin in the remainder of the month of February. I will tell you that right now, the monthly candle for February is kind of ugly. And we actually have some local monthly candles that are telling us that the market is trying to digest the current price. But if we close above that 110,000, it's off to the races again. And one of the best strategies that I've used to doing well on Wall Street is to buy when things get extremely oversold or when people panic. It always has produced profits for me. So appreciate you joining me today. Guys, I want you to check out the links in the description of this video. Stock Up with Larry Jones has his new trading club community. There's a link for that where he's sharing his trades. And also there is the Stock Up University, which actually has a great overview of crypto as well. And it explains the cycles and it explains the patterns and the movements. And ultimately, if you watch that and if you absorb that, you're going to have a better strategy in investing in crypto this cycle to make the most of the remaining time that we've got in it. But to be clear, we are in the parabolic phase and it's not over. And it's technically not signaled that it's over. We're watching the charts. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you again for hitting the like. Peace and blessings. Talk to you soon.